Hello, I'm Craig Otto. Today I'm going to talk about single minute exchange of dies, known as Smed, sort of adapted into something called quick changeover. Basically, this is a tool that was initially started to get used in the 1950s, and it dealt a lot with machines and changeover. Basically, it took a lot of time to switch over the machines from one part to another part. And one of the things that people did to reduce the impact of that changeover time was they just ran a lot of parts, maybe more parts than they needed, but at least it made it worth the while. So some of the parts where maybe you only needed 10 parts, maybe you built 50, and that helped you reduce the cost of the changeovers. But the problem with that, of course, is the large inventories. And again, this was something that was developed by Shigeo Shingo. Basically, it took him 19 years to kind of develop this all out. Shingo wrote several books, but he was the one that kind of developed this process. Again, it was in 1950. Um, his methodology, basically, he turned the process into two different things. Look at it from an internal and external standpoint. So he considered internal things, the activities that were done, that had to be done while the machine was shut down. And the external things were all the activities that could be done while the machine was running. In the past, what they did was they waited to shut the machine down before they got their tools ready and the die ready and all that. So the basic approach was identify all of those activities and label them internal and external. And then the goal is to convert as many internal things to external as possible. And then, of course, execute the changeover. So to do that, it's real easy. You just write down all the operations that have to happen for the changeover, and answer the question yes or no. Does the machine have to be down in order for the activity to happen? Like getting the dies and tools. Obviously, that would be something that the machine doesn't have to be down. You can do that while the machine's running, and you just go down through each of those, and you fill out the checkbox. So if we look at the changeover time, if you look up top, the left side and then the dotted line, you see external. So those are while the machine is still running the old part A. And then on the other opposite side, where the next dotted line, vertical dotted line is, it says external again. That's when it's running the part B. So we want running good parts. In between those external things are the internal things. That's when the machine's down. That's what's really eating our lunch. That's what we have to reduce that time so that we're always producing parts. So you can see all the different activities down below with the times involved with those in each step. And what you do in a Smed, using the Smed tool, is you go through and you move those things like get all the dies and tools and fasteners. You do that right up front. And putting your tools away and storing the old dies, you can do that while the machine's running. So basically, um, those were all moved to external time. And also, other things you can do is standardize things so that it's done the same way and it's done consistent and it's done quicker. And then also documenting, settings for each of the different types of parts, maybe with a logbook, but making sure that you're reducing that trial time to get that first good piece. So you can see the top arrow, the old internal changeover time, arrow to arrow is longer than our new changeover time, arrow to arrow. We probably have maybe a 30% reduction. So you're getting 30% more out of your process. So that's a pretty good improvement. Um, and this is something that basically you can use this approach with about anything. When you start talking about while you're waiting for your food to cook at home when you're making supper, what are the activities that you're doing? Obviously, you don't want any safety issues, but what are the things that you can do while you're cooking? A lot of times you help your kids with homework before suppers. Um, you know, while it's cooking. Other things that we try to do at home, instead of getting ready to go in the morning and doing all these things in the morning. My wife and I try to have all of the kids' activities, things, all that done. Their lunches are packed. They have their showers. They have their clothes laid out, ready to go. They have their shoes ready. They have their book bags in the same place every day. They have their coats ready. All of that is to reduce time, basically, so we can sleep longer. That's our value add, is more sleep. So, but that what that is an example of quick changeover. Doing all of the um, as many things external as we can. So that's just an example, outside the shop, of how you can use this tool at home.